Hi traders, today I've got a really insightful interview for you today. We talk to No Nonsense Forex, or VP, as some of you may know him as. He has been a professional trader since 2014, has been trading with a prop firm, and gives us some really good insights into the psychology around trading and how to level up your mindset if you're going to be successful in this. So stay tuned, enjoy this video, and I'll catch you at the end. Hi VP, welcome to the Blueberry Markets YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me for an interview today. Could you let me know sort of how you got started in Forex and how you got beginning in your journey? We know that you've got a big YouTube channel. Can you tell me a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, so I started, I discovered Forex, I think 2009, 2010, somewhere around that range. And it was because I was working restaurants in Las Vegas, and everybody in Vegas has something else in their back pocket. It's a total hustle culture. I love it. One guy was into penny stocks, and he got me into it. And I hit the first one, which is the worst thing that can ever happen to you. So I caught the bug right away. Lost every subsequent trade after that and lost all that money. But the bug still bit me, so I needed something to do. Now, summertime was coming up, and penny stocks dry up in the summertime. So I needed something else to do. There was a board called iHub back then. I think it's still around. It's a UK site. And I went to the Forex tab, and I just found the smartest guy there. I said, hey, I'm not looking for advice. Just can you point me in a direction on how to learn this business? Mm-hmm. And he did. And so it was this little website called Baby Pips, and I learned there, and I absorbed it right away. I don't absorb things right away, but when I do, it's like enhanced 10 times, to where I was like, okay, I totally understand this. It all makes sense to me. And I said from that point on, okay, this is what I'm going to do, because I don't want to wait tables anymore. Nobody does, but you have to find something else. And I decided this was going to be it right there. So I did all the mistakes that everybody makes, and failed over and over again, and started learning from other people. It was all price action back then. There was no indicator material really at all, unless you were talking about the very simple indicators that don't work very well. Your RSI, stochastic, Fibonacci, things like that. So I broke out on my own, because I saw there were some other indicators out there that I'd never heard of before. I'm like, wow, if these exist, how many other ones exist? Well, it turns out there were thousands. I was like, well, nobody's talking about this stuff. Maybe if I can find the right combination, I can crack the code and find something that makes a lot more sense to me. Find a definitive signal instead of sitting there trying to guess all the time. And I did, and I still went through all the growing pains with that. But once I got good, I got good, and joined a prop firm in 2014, a prop firm I'm still with. And then I decided to go ahead and see if anybody else was interested in this indicator strategy that I was using. I didn't think there would be many, but turned out there were a lot. So in 2018, I started the channel, put it out there, had a podcast that went with it, and it just caught on from there. And so here we are.
So did you start the YouTube as like your own personal sort of forum, in a way? As you kind of went into your start, you went to the iHub, you went to the Baby Pips, and then did you use YouTube as a sort of like, I might want to get some feedback on this?
That was secondary. The primary reason at the time was I wanted to get on the radar of like a large hedge fund or family office or something like that. Somebody that could pay me a lot of money to trade. Yeah, that I could do in conjunction with the prop firm. Okay. And just to put myself out there, because if you don't do it via social media, it's really hard to get noticed. So that was my main goal. And then it just proliferated into something far greater than I ever thought it would be. And then so it became another income unto itself, and here we are.
Awesome. So would you be able to describe sort of like a memorable sort of moment or event where sort of early in your career that sort of shaped that trading approach of trying to find that indicator based system that helped you, say like sort of crack the code?
It wasn't one big moment. It was a host of smaller moments. I remember there's a guy who's still very popular today, Inner Circle Trader. He's probably the authority when it comes to price action. Everybody else I've ever seen use price action pretty much stays within the confines of the basics of how to use it. This guy was clearly on another level. So I was pretty much in his camp around 2012, and I did it for about a year, but I just wasn't picking up on it. And again, it's all price action. You can't test it. They don't, they give you definitive signals if you're really, really good at it, but I wasn't even close. And so there was a frustration there that forced me to kind of seek other directions. I've always been the type of person to where, and this is restaurants too, I bounced around to so many of them. If I feel like my situation sucks and it's not getting better, I don't just stay there. I change it. I change it. So that compelled me to pioneer my own system, and that was really the turning point there, I suppose. And then you just have, you have these little revelations and epiphanies and setbacks along the way that shape everything else. But I can't really point to maybe like one, eureka moment or one rock bottom moment or anything like that. My story arc doesn't really have one of those.
Right. So in terms of the bouncing around, did that have an effect on sort of your Forex in the early stages, your trading in the early stages? So have you settled on sort of one strategy that helps you now, or is it you still trying to constant develop?
Yeah, you always try to improve. Because I have such a dyed-in-the-wool strategy now, it's not like I'm trying to improve all the time, but I still do try to improve. Like we have we kind of have a sub-series on the channel right now called the Indicator Profile Series, where people are sending in and I'm learning about indicators I've never seen before, and they work really well. So I put those aside and I try to incorporate those into the system as well. And it takes a lot of testing with these things. It's not overnight, but yeah, I'm in the works of trying to improve what I do have, because you always should be. I never get complacent. I'm always trying to keep things fresh, for one, because it keeps me interested. But if you can improve on something, you should improve on something. Yeah,
absolutely. The indicators you're talking about, are these indicators that can be found via sort of your standard meta traders, or is this something that is out there sort of institutional based maybe? Or
no, every indicator I'm interested in has to be on MetaTrader 4.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, for one, they still have the most indicators out there compared to the other platforms.
Yeah.
But there's a tester we use on the channel that's MT4 based, and it's just simple. I know there's people out there that really like TradingView and NinjaTrader and things like that, but that's just unfortunate. If you're watching my channel, you're going to have to use MT4. Yeah. Luckily, it's very easy, and if you really want to pay somebody to transfer those into a different code, you can always do that. But what I always say is, if you like trading on other platforms, I would say, well, chart on one and trade on the other. It's what most people do anyway. It's what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose that's really beginner friendly though, MetaTrader 4 in itself. So it's good to know that is available for everybody and free. So with that then, what would you say kind of got you to a point where you were sort of profitable in those first early stages? Because I think every beginner trader sort of asks, when was the turning point for you? And I think everybody always has a sort of different story. With me, mine was actually fairly similar to how you started. I actually read a book on penny stocks. I didn't actually necessarily get involved with them, but I read a book on penny stocks, and I was quite interested in those. And then, was basically going online and seeing all this stuff about Forex. So I kind of got dragged into Forex first, really. I didn't have the opportunity to trade any of the penny stock stuff. So I guess, where was that sort of turning point for you? Because for me, it was then kind of going through the process of, I had strategies where I would almost put them on a whiteboard, go through the testing period, go through the live period, and then, exit off? How do I improve? Go to something else? Was that similar for you?
It was a pretty slow process for me because I still do everything by hand.
Okay.
And when it comes to testing, note taking, things like that, it just works better for me. I have a blown up case of ADD, so things have to be a very particular way for me if I'm going to learn it. Because as I spoke about before, I don't learn most things very well. But if it's something I do learn very well, if it's in that tight range of things that I absorb pretty well, I can be like a supercomputer. So like things that normally would take people a long time, even by hand, I can process pretty quickly. So if people even ask to this day why I do things so slow that way, I'm like, well, it's not as slow as you think, but it's what's always worked for me. I understand now some of the older generations why they do things so slowly, even though there's modern technology out there. I get it now. So again, no one major turning point. It was just a lot of trial and error, mostly error. And then even once you do get things together, you don't have the psychology part down. Right. And so, I mean, I could give you something with a 98% success rate, and the odds of you, equaling that success rate or even coming close are going to be almost nil, because I would say the algorithm is the engine of the car, but the psychology is the driver. And if you can't drive it, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Because there's so many strategies online that probably do work, but why is it that people don't take them on and do them successfully? Or if they do, it's a rare sort of person?
Emotions, 100%. And with men especially, we always think women are more emotional than we are. It depends on what you're talking about. In the confines of money making and success, that's how we define ourselves. So we put this extraordinary pressure on ourselves to do well. So our emotions, excuse me, our emotions become extremely elevated when we're in the moment of something like trading, where you can win or lose money in a very short amount of time. Same would go for gambling or something like that. So, and this is why you see such a very, very small percentage of people actually make it out the other side, even though there are all these, quote, holy grail systems out there. It doesn't matter, because the operator has to actually be functional and do things the way the strategy was intended. And that's where almost everybody falls apart. And that's a problem too, Jonathan, because most people don't address it, because we don't want to be thought of as somebody who's mentally and emotionally fragile, or having problems that we need to address. So we don't even think it happens, but it happens to every single one of us, and we have to get it corrected, or else it does not matter what system you trade.
Right. So what would you say if I came to you now and said, look, I'm really struggling with my emotions, where would you tell me to kind of start?
So if you think you're just going to read a book or watch a video and get this corrected, you are sadly mistaken. It's a long process, because there are so many different situations that come up in trading, and each one of them attack a different emotional point in our brains. So I have made this as comprehensive as I possibly can on my channel. Nobody's even remotely attacking trading psychology the way we are. I've written a book, which is a good place to start, I guess. Everything I do is free except for the book. You will have to pay for that, but it's called No Nonsense Forex Trading Psychology. Nice. Very creative title. And so that's a good place to start. And I have a whole video series on it. And then it is so important that the head of my prop firm and I started a podcast on trading psychology. It's the only one out there, if I can recall. And we're 40 episodes deep, and it's doing really well. It's really impactful for people. And I can tell by the way people are downloading it on the podcast players. People are listening to the same older episodes over and over again, which is really great to see, because that means people are taking this very seriously. And I like their chances way more than somebody's chances who just aren't addressing this at all. It's a tough thing to address. It's not as exciting as technical analysis, for sure. But unfortunately, it's really the only way to get to the other side, unless you're automating, and that does bring its own level of challenges as well. So there really is no world that I see to where you can't have your trading psychology locked down, at least to a degree, if you really want to be successful in this business. Everybody tells you it's the technical analysis. It's not. Technical analysis is tertiary. It's trading psychology, money management, and then your algorithm is a distant third. Even so much so, and I'm going on about this, but the head of my prop firm started his own YouTube channel called the Flat Earth Trading Society, where he flips coins. He trades based on the phases of the moon, and any ridiculous method he can use, he will do for his entries, just to show you that it's not about the entries; it's about everything else. And so far, I think his account's doing really well. So there you go.
That's awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, leave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to see some more of our Forex trading content, and I'll speak to you in the next video.